Listen carefully. Most people believe their thoughts belong to them. They believe their choices are free. They believe their habits are harmless. That belief is the first illusion. Your mind is not neutral. It is constantly being trained by repetition, environment, pressure, and reward. And if you don't consciously shape it, something else will. Dark psychology is not about controlling others. It is about recognizing how control already exists, silently, subtly, and daily. The human brain evolved for survival, not fulfillment. Survival favors safety. Fulfillment requires discomfort. This is the conflict happening inside you every day. Whenever you decide to change, to work harder, focus longer, or aim higher, your brain interprets that decision as a potential threat. Not because it's dangerous, but because it's unfamiliar. Unfamiliar equals unsafe to the primitive mind. So the brain resists. It does not resist loudly. It resists cleverly. It creates hesitation. It produces doubt. It manufactures reasons that sound responsible. This isn't the right time. You should wait until you're ready. Rest first. You're already tired. This is not intuition. This is protection. Psychology calls this cognitive defense, the mind defending its current identity. Here is the dark truth. Your brain is loyal to who you have been, not who you want to become. Identity is powerful. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your self-image. If your self-image is untrained, inconsistent, or fragile, your behavior will sabotage progress automatically. This is why motivation fades. Motivation works on emotion. Identity works on behavior. Dark psychology explains why people repeat patterns they consciously hate. The brain prefers familiar pain over unfamiliar effort. A bad habit you recognize feels safer than a good habit you haven't mastered. This is why change feels threatening. Another uncomfortable truth. Your environment shapes your decisions more than your willpower. Studies in behavioral science show that willpower is limited and context-dependent. Put a disciplined person in a chaotic environment long enough, and discipline erodes. That is not weakness. That is conditioning. This means your daily inputs matter more than your intentions. What you see, what you hear, what you scroll, what you tolerate. These things train your nervous system. A nervous system constantly exposed to urgency, noise, and comparison becomes reactive. A reactive mind does not build long-term goals. It survives moment to moment. This is one of the darkest realities of modern life. People are exhausted, not because they work too hard, but because their minds never rest. Rest is not sleep. Rest is mental quiet. When stimulation never stops, clarity never forms. Dark psychology teaches that clarity requires boredom. Boredom forces the mind inward. Most people avoid this. They escape into distraction because silence reveals unresolved tension. Strong people do the opposite. They sit with discomfort until the mind reorganizes itself. That reorganization creates focus. Focus is power. Another hidden psychological mechanism is reward prediction. Your brain releases dopamine not when you succeed, but when it expects reward. This is why scrolling is addictive. This is why planning feels good. This is why watching motivation feels productive. But dopamine without effort trains passivity. You feel progress without earning it. Over time, effort becomes emotionally expensive. The brain asks, why work if reward comes easily? This is how ambition quietly dies. Dark psychology reveals that discipline must replace dopamine. Discipline is delayed reward training. You teach the brain that effort comes first, satisfaction later. At first, resistance increases. Then adaptation occurs. This is how habits rewire the brain. Neuroplasticity does not respond to intention. It responds to repetition under stress. This is why comfort does not change you. Challenge does. Another dark pattern is emotional reasoning. People believe something because they feel it. I feel tired, so I must be exhausted. I feel anxious, so this must be dangerous. I feel unmotivated, so today must not matter. Emotions are chemical signals, not commands. But when emotions are obeyed consistently, they become rulers. Emotional obedience creates instability. One day disciplined, next day avoidant. One day confident, next day withdrawn. This inconsistency damages self-trust. And without self-trust, confidence collapses. Dark psychology shows that confidence is not belief. It is predictability of behavior. When you know you will act regardless of mood, confidence emerges naturally. That reliability is rare. Most people negotiate with themselves. Negotiation feels mature. It sounds intelligent. But negotiation weakens standards. Every time you renegotiate discipline, you teach the brain that discomfort is optional. Soon, discomfort becomes unacceptable. This is how resilience erodes. Strong individuals pre-decide. They decide behavior in advance. Not based on emotion, but on principle. This removes internal conflict. Less conflict means less fatigue. Another dark mechanism is social mirroring. Humans subconsciously copy the emotional tone and behavior of those around them. This means your circle trains you, silently. If excuses are normal around you, effort feels extreme. If discipline is rare around you, consistency feels isolating. This is why growth often feels lonely. Loneliness is not a sign you are wrong. It is a sign you are changing. Most people mistake loneliness for failure. In reality, it is transition. Dark psychology also explains why people fear progress. Progress threatens social balance. When you grow, others feel exposed. Not consciously, psychologically. Your discipline highlights their avoidance. So they discourage, minimize, or joke. Not because they hate you. Because your growth challenges their identity. Understanding this prevents bitterness. You stop seeking validation. You stop explaining yourself. Silence becomes strategy. Another hidden habit is avoidance disguised as productivity. Busy does not mean effective. The mind prefers tasks that feel productive but avoid discomfort. Cleaning instead of creating. Planning instead of executing. Learning instead of applying. This creates motion without movement. Dark psychology calls this displacement behavior. You avoid the task that threatens identity by doing safer alternatives. Awareness breaks this cycle. You ask, "What am I avoiding right now?" That question alone restores control. Another dark truth. Your past trains your nervous system. If you've experienced failure, criticism, or instability, your brain becomes hyper-alert. This hyper-alertness looks like overthinking. Overthinking is not intelligence. It is threat detection. When threat detection is constant, creativity shuts down. The brain cannot build while defending. This is why safety is important, but safety is not comfort. Safety is predictability and structure. Structure calms the nervous system. Routines are not boring. They are stabilizing. Stability allows growth. Dark psychology emphasizes ritual over motivation. Ritual removes decision fatigue. When behavior becomes automatic, resistance decreases. This is how elite performers operate. Not with emotion, with systems. Another critical truth. The mind exaggerates short-term pain and minimizes long-term consequences. Skipping discipline feels harmless. Consistency feels heavy. But over time, the cost reverses. Regret accumulates quietly. Strength accumulates slowly. Most people notice regret too late. Dark psychology trains you to notice patterns early. Patterns reveal destiny. What you repeat becomes identity. What you avoid becomes fear. Fear grows in avoidance. Courage grows in exposure. Controlled exposure retrains the brain. Small discomfort, repeated, builds tolerance. Tolerance builds confidence. Confidence builds freedom. This is not motivation. This is conditioning. Dark psychology is not pessimistic. It is precise. It removes fantasy. It replaces hope with strategy. You stop waiting to feel ready. You stop waiting to feel confident. You act first. Emotion follows action, not the other way around. This is one of the most misunderstood truths in self-improvement. The mind does not lead the body. The body leads the mind. Movement creates momentum. Action creates belief. Belief reinforces identity. Identity sustains action. This loop determines your life. You are not broken. You are patterned. Patterns can be rewritten. Not with inspiration. With structure. Not with intensity. With consistency. Not with perfection. With persistence. The darkest psychology of all is this: no one is coming to save you. And that is not depressing. That is freedom. Because the moment you accept full responsibility, power returns. You stop blaming the past. You stop waiting for conditions. You build within constraint. Constraint sharpens focus. Focus builds strength. Strength builds choice. Choice builds freedom. And freedom is the real goal. Not comfort. Not approval. Not ease. Freedom of mind. Freedom of action. Freedom from unconscious patterns. Dark psychology is simply awareness with courage. Awareness without courage creates anxiety. Courage without awareness creates chaos. Together, they create mastery. Your mind is not your enemy. It is an untrained ally. Train it. Slowly. Deliberately. Relentlessly. And your life will follow.